Hello, listeners. Jared Anderson here with some exciting news. If you've ever listened to the CryptoNaturalist and wondered, okay, but who is this guy and how did he end up in this life? Well, you're in luck. My new novel, Strange Animals, is exactly that origin story. Well, it's the story of a bunch of other adventurous twists and turns in the world of strange nature, but it's also the origin story. One reviewer referred to the novel as cozy creepy, and I like that phrase. In terms of coziness, well, if you listen to this podcast, you know I'm drawn to human warmth and kindness. There's plenty of warmth interwoven with a search for meaning in the book, along with kindness encountered in unexpected places and found family. As for the creepy part, come on. Any crypto-naturalist could tell you that strange nature can be as dangerous and deadly as it is lovely and mysterious. The mystery draws you in, but safety is not the primary reward for curiosity. In Strange Animals, we follow the story of Green, a man whose life in the city is interrupted when he takes a fatal fall in front of a speeding bus. Well, not exactly fatal. Stick around to the end and I'll read the opening of the book to you. The bus incident unravels Green's life and leaves him feeling drawn to wild places. He follows that feeling all the way to the Catskill Mountains, where he finds a deadly danger, a mentor, and a new home. He finds much weirder things too, but, no spoilers. Fans of this podcast will spot all sorts of familiar names, including Green's mentor, Valentina Blackwood. One of the intimidating parts of the book publishing process is seeking blurbs, those advanced review quotes you see on dust jackets. It's intimidating for me, anyway. I don't know, I'm a Midwesterner and I don't love asking for favors. That said, I've been really humbled by the response so far. I'd like to share a few of these blurbs we've received. This first one is from Kevin Hearn. He's the New York Times best-selling author of the Iron Druid Chronicles. I've been a fan of Kevin's work for a long time, so I was really thrilled by his review of my novel. Kevin wrote, "I cannot express how much this book scratched an itch I didn't know I had. The deep wonder and curiosity about nature, coupled with the terror of our own insignificance, strummed a familiar chord within me, and reading about these singular creatures and Green's journey confronting them inspired a childlike glee of discovery. I envy everyone who gets to read Strange Animals for the first time. I'll be rereading it again and again to revisit that happiness and winkle out every morsel of wisdom breathed by the sage characters within." Such a kind note. Thank you, Kevin. And I'll share two shorter blurbs that meant a lot to me. This one's from Peter Clines, the New York Times bestselling author of Paradox Bound and God's Junk Drawer. Peter wrote, "A wildly inventive, fantastically fun story about a man who goes to find himself and finds so much more. I absolutely loved it from the first page." And lastly, from friend of the show Justin McElroy, Justin writes, "Anderson has conceived of such a rich world and such a textured mythology, I can't remember a time when cryptids felt more real." So kind and much appreciated. And now I find myself at that strange phase in a book's life when I've worked on the text for years, and now I have a little bit of a waiting period before it sees publication on February 10th from Ballantine Books. There will be a hardback, an ebook, and an audiobook version. You can find pre-order options in all the usual places, or visit jaredkanderson.com for more details. Closer to publication, I'll drop an official excerpt from the audiobook here, but for now, I'm simply going to read the introduction. This is a very short chapter, Chapter 0, The Opening of Strange Animals. Green died, and then he didn't. He twisted his ankle and toppled off the curb. Pain flashed as his cheekbone hit the blacktop. 20 feet away, the crushing mass of a city bus rolled toward him. Cheek on the pavement, he watched the zigzag tread of a bus tire, 10, 9, 8 feet off and closing. Brakes squealed. Too late. At the office, ad copy for a new psoriasis medication sat half-written next to a wilting pothos plant. At home, a shadowbox diorama of an old Model T car made from salvaged clock parts sat unfinished next to a sewing box full of tiny gears, springs, and minute hands. He was less than a breath away from the lesson that lives are not finished, they are concluded. That lesson was arriving at 35 miles per hour. The black tire filled his vision. No time to scream. One final thought. No, this isn't how it happens. Then he was back, standing on the sidewalk, as if someone else's life had been roughly spliced to top his own. It was a crude edit, his death overwritten. The bus roared past, stinging his eyes with grit and a wall of warm, displaced air. He might have wept or collapsed, but before he could, a sound sucker-punched him like a thunderclap. It was a caw that sent him stumbling backward, knocking a rolling suitcase from an elderly man's grasp. Time moved sluggishly. The man shouldered Green aside and retrieved his luggage, muttering something vicious that Green didn't catch. A bystander with graying dreadlocks looked up from his phone, then back down. Green saw the crow. On a nearby no parking sign, a black bird the size of a golden retriever was croaking and chittering, punctuated by caws loud enough to rattle storefront windows. The sound kicked over something inside Green's guts. The looming creature paused and looked at him, as if waiting for an answer. No one else stopped. No one else looked at the crow. A final corvid cry inexplicably sent Green's hand to his pocket. There was something new there. He pulled it out. An acorn, the color of coffee with cream, sat on his open palm. It was a commonplace object that menaced him with its simple presence. The crow was gone. His old life was gone with it. Not finished, concluded. Beyond Green's awareness, somewhere in the Catskill Mountains, a peculiar patch of woods and the things that hunted there were waiting for him. Already, the thread-thin roots of a place he had never visited were reaching for his future. New pathways sprouted from the moment like mushrooms after sunset. In the dark soil, at the edge of his perception, dangerous ideas were growing. Hope you enjoyed that little taste of the book. I'm very proud of this novel, and if you're hearing this, I think you're really going to enjoy it. Pre-orders are incredibly helpful to the success of a new book. If you're interested, pre-ordering is a great way to support my work and future CryptoNaturalist stories. Thanks for listening. And we're all strange animals. So, act like it.